All right, shalom, shalom. Most High Christ bless y'all. Happy Sabbath. Thank you for tuning in. I am Brother Jacob, and to my left,
I'm Brother Joel.
And tonight we're getting back into God's commandments, man. It's a must that we go over God's commandments. So tonight it's titled "It Was Added Because of the Law." So we're just going to touch on that a little bit, but the main thing is going to be the commandments. So we're kind of going to show you a couple things. But once again, we're dealing with the commandments tonight. Let's open up with Malachi chapter 3 and start at verse 16.
All right.
Yeah, 16.
All right. Shalom, Most High Christ bless. Happy Sabbath to the 12. The book of Malachi, chapter 3 and verse 16. Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkeneth and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord and that thought upon his name.
Right. That feared him and thought or kept his commandments. Because, fearing the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. You fearing him and keeping his commandments. Keep going. Verse 17.
Verse 17. And they shall be mine.
See that? They shall be mine. Those that spake often one to another and fear the Lord. They shall be mine. Go ahead.
Saith the Lord of hosts. In that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them.
And I will spare them. Go ahead.
As a man spareth his own son that serveth him.
Wow.
Go.
As a man spareth his own son that serveth him. Go ahead.
Then shall ye return.
Then shall ye return. Read.
And discern between the righteous and the wicked.
Right. How do you discern between the righteous and the wicked? What does it mean to be righteous? And what does it mean to be wicked? There's only one way you can tell. You can ask people what is sin and they can't tell you. Right. Go ahead.
Between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not.
See how you can tell? Man, let's go to 1 John 3 real quick.
Okay.
Give me verse. Give me verse 4 first. Watch this. It's going to line up right with what we just read in Malachi.
The book of 1 John, chapter 3 and verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law.
So if you're not keeping the commandments, you're in transgression of the law. Now jump down to verse 7.
Verse 7. Little children, let no man deceive you. He that doeth righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous.
Right, even as he is righteous. Righteousness is keeping God's commandments. Now, since Christ came, we have to keep the commandments and faith of Christ. Keep going.
Verse 8. He that committeth sin is of the devil.
Right, go ahead.
For the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose, the Son of God was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil.
Go ahead.
Whosoever is born of God doth not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him, and he cannot sin because he is born of God.
Right, verse 10.
Verse 10. In this, the children of God are manifest.
So in this, keeping of the commandments and believing on Christ are the children of God manifest. This is how you know who is serving him. Go ahead.
And the children of the devil.
And the children of the devil. Those that's not being obedient. Go ahead.
Whosoever doeth not righteousness.
You're not keeping the commandments. Or we don't have to keep feast days. The Sabbath is any day you want to hold. It is any day of the week, brother. I serve the Lord every day, even though I don't keep his commandments. Go ahead.
It's not of God. Neither he that loveth not his brother.
Right. Now, so we're going to get into some of these commandments. Matter of fact, the first one. First, I want to go to Deuteronomy 6 and 25. Then we're going to go back to some more commandments. Because in Christianity, there's, which Christianity is our main foe. Because they use the same book we use, They cherry pick scriptures. They twist the understanding to keep our people in darkness. And make no mistake about it, sin is darkness. And they're keeping us in that perpetual situation. So, Deuteronomy 6 and 25.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 25. And it shall be our righteousness.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. Read 24 first.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 24. And the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes.
The Lord commanded us. Because you will have people say, oh, you're trying to keep your own righteousness. Mm-hmm. The Lord commanded us these laws and statutes. Go ahead.
To fear the Lord our God for our good always.
Yeah, for our good always. Go ahead.
That he might preserve us alive as it is at this day.
Right. That he keep them so that he may preserve us alive.
Right.
Either you believe what's written or you don't. Go ahead.
Verse 25. And it shall be our righteousness.
It shall be our righteousness. Go ahead.
If we observe.
If we observe. Go ahead.
To do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he hath commanded us.
Right. As he hath commanded us. So now, look, let's go back to Exodus 24 real quick. We kind of finished up right here last week. But I want to reiterate something for y'all. Exodus 24, start at verse 3 again.
The book of Exodus, chapter 24 and verse 3. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which the Lord hath said will we do.
Right. All the words which the Lord hath said will we do. So we went over, he gave 10 commandments to the children of Israel. Then after that, he gave Moses some more. Then he started giving judgments and statutes that's within the law. Until you get to this point, and then everybody said, we will do all the words that you spoke, we will do it. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord, and rose up early in the morning, and builded an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Israel.
Go ahead.
Verse 5. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood, and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar.
So they sacrificed these animals. They made these offerings. They put, there's when you go in Leviticus, there's ordinances on how they have to do this. So they do this, and then they take the blood, put it in basins, and they go and they sprinkle this on all the people, on all the children of Israel. So this covenant here, what I'm getting at, this covenant is made with blood, the blood of animals. So when you get to the children of Israel committing sins, they get atonement through the sacrifice of animals. So you have laws, and then you had the blood of bulls, goats, sheep. And that's how you got your atonement. Now, go ahead. Continue on.
Verse 7. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Lord hath said will we do.
Right.
And be obedient.
Right. We will do this and be obedient. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people.
See, he sprinkled it on the people. They're being bonded into this covenant. Go ahead.
And said, behold, the blood of the covenant, which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words.
Right. So they were bonded into this covenant with blood. He sprinkled the blood on them and said, this is the blood of the covenant. Now, since we went over this right here, let's go to Hebrews chapter 9. Show y'all something. So as we're going through laws from time to time, I might jump to the New Testament just to show y'all how it correlates. You know, you have, people say a lot of things that are not true. They're 100% not true when you get to the New Testament. So Hebrews chapter 9. We're going to come back here too. But for right now, start at 15.
Okay. The book of Hebrews, chapter 9 and verse 15. And for this cause, he is the mediator of the New Testament.
So this is talking about Christ. Christ is the mediator of the New Testament. Everybody tries to grab hold of the New Testament. But we're going to clear that up. Go ahead.
That by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament.
So he gave his body and blood for the transgressions of the first testament. What people were in the first testament? Who was it back at Mount Sinai that had the blood sprinkled on them?
Right.
Who said all these things we will do? It's our people, the children of Israel. Go ahead.
They which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance.
Keep going.
For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator.
Come on.
For a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise, it is of no strength at all while the testator liveth. Whereupon, neither the first testament was dedicated without blood.
Right. It was dedicated with blood, the blood of animals. Sometimes that's referred to as yoke or bondage. We was bonded to that animal sacrifice under the old covenant. Go ahead.
For when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop and sprinkled both the book and all the people.
Right. He sprinkled the book and all the people. We were bound into that. Come on.
Saying, this is the blood of the testament which God hath enjoined unto you.
Right.
Moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry. And and almost all things are by the law purged with blood.
So almost all things are by the law purged with blood. It said all things. It said, and almost all things are by the law. The law purged with blood. What law were these things purged with blood? We're going to go into that. We're going to go into that tonight. That's the Levitical law, sacrifices. So we're going to touch on that. People get confused. They see law and think it's talking about when I build a house, I got to put, I forget the name of them things on it. But I got to do this. Huh?
Battlement?
Yeah, the battlement. I got to put a battlement on top of my house. When I get married and I lay with my wife, I got to give her dad the sheets. That's not done away with. But it's right here. It's calling animal sacrifice the law. And almost all things are by the law purged with blood. It was the blood of bulls and goats. Go ahead.
And without shedding of blood is no remission.
There was no remission of sin without the shedding of blood. Go ahead.
It was therefore necessary that the patterns of things in the heavens should be purified with these. but the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these.
Mm-hmm.
For Christ is not entered into the holy places, made with hands, which are the figures of the true, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of God for us.
All right, so hold this. We're going to come back to this. Let's go to Leviticus 1. So the confusion comes because you have laws that the Lord gave us on how to conduct ourselves daily, how we're supposed to walk. Like it's saying Acts, walk orderly, keep the law and walk orderly. But then you have these specific laws for sacrificing, for offering. So give me Leviticus 1 and verse 2.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 1 and verse 2. Speak with the children of Israel, and say unto them, if any man of you bring an offering unto the Lord, ye shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd and of the flock.
Right.
If his offering be a burnt sacrifice of the herd, let him offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord.
Right. So what this is going into, when you're doing something for the Lord, he wants you to do it of your own will. You read, okay, the law was to lead us to Christ, but don't nobody understand what that's talking about. When you look at these sacrifices, it's giving you a high level of understanding. Read verse 4, and then we're gonna jump again.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 1 and verse 4. And he shall put his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him.
So that's how you made an atonement. When you committed a sin, that's how you got right with the Lord. Now, jump to chapter 4. Start at verse 1.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 4 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which ought not to be done, and shall do against any of them.
Go ahead.
If the priest that is anointed do sin according to the sin of the people, then let him bring for his sin, which he have sinned, a young bullock without blemish unto the Lord for a sin offering.
Right, for a sin offering. So he's doing this for the nation. The high priest, he has to do this once a year. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And he shall bring the bullock unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord, and shall lay his hand upon the bullock's head, and kill the bullock before the Lord. And the priest that is anointed shall take of the bullock's blood, and bring it to the tabernacle of the congregation.
So it goes on and on. It's going into what he got to do, where he got to do it. He got to, pour out the blood. He got to take the certain parts. Some of it he can eat, some of it he can't, all of that. Now, but this is how he's atoning for the sins of the people. And every year he has to go into the holiest of holies, and he has to wear these bells. Because if he has sinned and he goes in there, he will get put to death. So now, let's go back to Hebrews 9. Because this is what Paul is getting at. Now, everybody seems to think that the letters of Paul is easy. But the chief apostle said that there are things that's hard to be understood. And he's the chief apostle saying it's things hard to be understood. So Hebrews 9, and where were we? Start at 23 again.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 9 and verse 23. It was therefore necessary that the patterns of things in the heavens should be purified with these, but the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these.
Right. Better sacrifices of what? Better sacrifices than those animals.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 24. For Christ is not entered into the holy places made with hands, which are the figures of the true, but into heaven itself. Now to appear in the presence of God for us.
To appear in the presence of God for us. So the high priest had to do it once a year. But where is Christ? He came and walked the walk. So now he can be a mouthpiece for us in the presence of the Most High.
Right.
Watch this. Hold this real quick. 1 John 2 and verse 1.
The book of 1 John, chapter 2, and verse 1. My little children, these things write I unto you, that ye sin not.
Right. John is saying, I write to you that you sin not. What is sin? Transgression of the law. That's your basic commandments on how you're supposed to live. If you commit sin, do you have to sacrifice an animal? Why do you need to be justified? Go ahead.
And if any man sin,
Go ahead.
we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteous.
The righteous. So he will accept, if the Lord says, show him mercy, he will accept that from Christ. He won't accept it from us. It's like, the analogy is, you hire a lawyer. Your lawyer knows the law. And your lawyer knows the judge. Right.
Right. They eat lunch together.
But we got Christ speaking on our behalf.
Right.
He's not speaking on your behalf if you putting him to shame. If you running around sinning, you saying, oh, I ain't got to do that. No. The Lord requires obedience. Now, drop 1 John. Let's go back to Hebrews. You see, he's appearing before the Father for us. We were at 25 now.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 9, and verse 25. Nor yet that he should offer himself often, as the high priest enter into the holy places every year with blood of others. For then must he often have suffered since the foundation of the world. But now, once in the end of the world, hath he appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself.
Right, by the sacrifice of himself. See, all of this, before we jump, give me verse 28, then we're going to jump a couple times.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 9 and verse 28. So Christ was once offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation.
Right, bringing us salvation, saving us through the atonement of his blood. Now, Acts 13 and 38. See, I'm trying to make this really simple. It's easy to see. The first covenant was with the blood of bulls and goats. Now it's you keeping commandments in the faith of Christ through his offering. 13 and 38.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Because remember, in Hebrews 9, it said through those sacrifices of animals, almost everything was purged. It covered almost all of your sins. It atoned for almost all of your sins. Go ahead, verse 38.
The book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 38. Be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man is preached unto you the forgiveness of sin.
So through Christ, it is preached forgiveness of sin. So no more atoning for sin with animals. Go ahead.
And by him, all that believe are justified.
So if you believe that this is the Son of God, whom the Father sent in his name, if you believe, you can repent through him. Go ahead.
From all things.
Well, it said justified. Now, to be justified means you have committed a sin. Now you need to atone. So you're not being justified by animal sacrifice. You're being justified by Christ's blood. Go ahead.
Justified from all things, from which ye could not be justified by the law of Moses.
Right. Because there were things in the law of Moses you could not be justified by. Your blood had to be shed. We'll touch on a couple of them. So now you can drop this last scripture. Let's go to Galatians 3. The Christians love Galatians 3. Let's go there real quick before we go back to the Old Testament. Then we're going to come back to the New again. See how it all correlates. Paul came up at the feet of Gamaliel. He was like the top teacher of the law in Jerusalem. Give me 3:19.
The book of Galatians, chapter 3 and verse 19. Wherefore, then serveth the law.
Hold on. Start at 18. Let me clear this up, too, because they be using this right here. I know y'all remember back when Ozias was battling them pastors, and the guy kept saying, "Can we go to Galatians 3?" Read that, because they don't have no understanding. Verse 18.
The book of Galatians, chapter 3 and verse 18. For if the inheritance be of the law.
What inheritance? The promise that was given to Abraham and his seed. Go ahead.
It is no more of promise.
So regardless of the law, the Lord made a promise to Abraham and his seed. So irregardless, it's going to come to Israel. Go ahead.
But God gave it to Abraham by promise.
Right. So either way, it goes to the children of Israel. It does not go to other people. Go ahead. Verse 19.
Wherefore, then serveth the law.
So why were we keeping these laws of atonement? It's not talking about your standard laws, statutes, and commandments that you're supposed to walk in every day. It's talking about atonement, animal sacrifice. Go ahead.
It was added because of transgression.
So what is transgression? Sin.
Right.
Sin is transgression of the law. So what was added because the Lord knew Israel was going to sin. What did he add? He added animal sacrifice. And that's what we read in Exodus 24. We were bonded into that covenant of animal sacrifice. It's a basic understanding. We just been lied to all our lives. Finish that verse.
Till the seed should come to whom?
Till the seed should come, meaning Christ. Meaning till Christ should come. Wait a minute. Read verse 16, because they get confused by this too.
The book of Galatians, chapter 3 and verse 16. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made.
Right. Go ahead.
He said not, and to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is Christ.
Right. So when you look at some of the prophecies, it's directly about Christ. Then others, it's about the whole nation. So this promise was for Christ. Now verse 19 again.
Verse 19. Wherefore then serveth the law? It was added because of the transgressions, till the seed should come to whom the promise was made. And it was ordained by angels in the hand of a mediator.
So understand that animal sacrifice was put in place until Christ should come. Mm-hmm. Now, back to Leviticus 1. Pick up right where we left off. We're gonna read some basic commandments, but we're gonna hit this first, man. Gotta hit this first. Why pay close attention?
Which verse?
5. Pick back up at 5.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 1 and verse 5. And he shall kill the bullock before the Lord, and the priests, Aaron's sons, shall bring the blood, and sprinkle the blood round about upon the altar that is by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
See, all this sprinkling of blood, you taking the blood and sprinkling it, it's a lot. You gotta, you slay the animal, then you pour its blood by the altar, all this stuff. But go ahead.
And he shall flay the burnt offering and cut it into his pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall put fire upon the altar and lay the wood in order upon the fire.
Come on.
And the priests, Aaron's sons, shall lay the parts, the head, and the fat in order upon the wood that is on the fire, which is upon the altar.
I mean, y'all. So you notice it's dealing with Aaron and his sons, the priests.
The priest.
Who was John the Baptist? Just real quick, Luke 1, real quick. Try to get y'all to understand.
Yeah, he was son of Zacharias.
Right. What was Zacharias?
Priest.
It's no coincidence that John baptized Christ.
Luke 1.
Yeah, verse 5. Just verse 5. Just showing who Zacharias and Elizabeth were.
The book of St. Luke, chapter 1 and verse 5. There was in the days of Herod,
That Idumean convert, go ahead.
the king of Judea, a certain priest,
A certain priest.
named Zacharias, of the course of Abia, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth.
Right, see? So John is of the priesthood. He baptized Christ. Now back to Leviticus 2. Leviticus 1, I'm sorry.
The book of Leviticus.
You just read 8?
Chapter 1 and verse 9.
Yeah, 8. Yeah. Go ahead.
Hit 8 first.
Yeah, hit 8.
Right.
Yeah.
Chapter 1 and verse 8. And the priests, Aaron's sons, shall lay the parts, the head, and the fat, in order upon the wood that is on the fire, which is upon the altar. But his inwards and his legs.
His inwards. But his inwards. Not the outside of the cup,
Right.
but what's in it. The inwards. Go ahead.
And his legs shall be washed in water. And the priest shall burn all on the altar to be a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire, of a sweet savor unto the Lord.
Man, I can't.
And if his offering be of the flocks, namely of the sheep, or of the goats, for a burnt sacrifice, he shall bring it a male without blemish.
A male without blemish. Go ahead.
And he shall kill it on the side of the altar northward before the Lord. And the priests, Aaron's sons, shall sprinkle his blood round about upon the altar. And he shall cut it into his pieces with his head and his fat, and the priest shall lay them in order on the wood that is on the fire which is upon the altar. But he shall wash the inwards and the legs with water.
Wash the inwards and the legs with water. I can't. Well, one day.
And the priest shall bring it all, and burn it upon the altar. It is a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire, of a sweet savor unto the Lord.
Ask yourself, why is it a sweet savor unto the Lord?
Bro, man, I see what people call Armageddon all in this joint.
Yeah, but this burnt offering is supposed to be you.
Right.
It's supposed to be you. You going through your captivity, your punishment is a sweet savor to the Lord. It pleases him because of the wicked you've done.
Right.
But your innards, your inwards and your legs have to be washed. You got to be baptized.
You either be a goat.
Yeah, either a sheep or a goat. You don't want to be a goat.
You don't want to be the goat.
You want to be a sheep without blemish. That's what you want to be. But you see all these ordinances right here, all this stuff that they got to do. You know, you got to put it to death. Then you got to cut it in pieces. You got to wash it. Then you got to burn it on the altar. That's what they had to do over and over, all day long. It had to constantly be something burning on the altar all day long. Now watch this. Go back to Hebrews 9. Because people try to tell us that keeping the commandments is dead works. That it's carnal. Keeping commandments is carnal. Watch this. Go right back to Hebrews 9. These people don't understand Paul at all. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be offensive, but it's the truth. Let's start at 9 and 1, man. Show y'all some stuff.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 9 and verse 1. Then verily, the first covenant had also ordinances of divine service.
We're reading them. Go ahead.
And a worldly sanctuary. For there was a tabernacle made, the first, wherein was the candlestick.
So the candlestick represents the seven spirits of God. Go ahead.
And the table and the showbread.
So in the table and the showbread was manna from heaven, the bread from God. Go ahead.
Which is called the sanctuary. And after the second veil, the tabernacle, which is called the holiest of all.
Yeah, the holiest of holies. Go ahead.
Which had the golden censer and the ark of the covenant overlaid round about with gold. Wherein was the golden pot that had manna and Aaron's rod that budded, and the tables of the covenant.
So all of this stuff is supposed to be within you. The spirits of God, the manna from heaven, God's commandments, his covenant with us, it's supposed to be in you, in your inwards. Now go to 7. Jump to 7. No, go ahead. Just keep going. We'll get there, yeah.
All right. The book of Hebrews, chapter 9 and verse 5. And over it the cherubims of glory, shadowing the mercy seat.
These things that the Lord told us, these images the Lord told us to make. Go ahead.
Of which we cannot now speak particularly.
Go ahead.
Now, when these things were thus ordained, the priests went always into the first tabernacle, accomplishing the service of God.
Right.
But into the second went the high priest alone, once every year, not without blood, which he offered for himself, and for the errors of the people.
So we read a little bit of that in Leviticus chapter 4. Go ahead.
The Holy Ghost, this signifying that the way into the holiest of all was not yet made manifest, while as the first tabernacle was yet standing.
Right. You didn't know your way to God. Go ahead.
Which was a figure for the time then present, in which we offered both gifts and sacrifices.
So we offered both gifts and sacrifices. Those animals. Go ahead.
That could not make him that did the service perfect,
Right.
as pertaining to the conscience.
So sacrificing animals could not make you perfect.
Right.
Go ahead.
Which stood only in meats and drinks.
Meats and drinks. Go ahead.
And diverse washings.
Diverse washings.
And carnal ordinances.
Carnal ordinances. The law itself is not carnal. The sacrificing of animals is carnal. Go ahead.
Imposed on them until the time of reformation.
So they had to do it until Christ came. See that? Understand that?
Yep.
Go ahead.
But Christ, being come and high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building.
Right.
Neither by the blood of the goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us.
For us. So all the animal sacrifice was temporary.
Right.
Paul said it twice. He said it in two places. And Timothy, I think Timothy is the one that wrote Acts. He said it in Acts 13. Now, back to Leviticus. So that's what was imposed until Christ should come. So now, we don't have to get into these. Yeah, let's just give one example. Let's go to Leviticus 6:1. Yeah, start at 6:1. We'll hit just one example for you.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 6 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, if a soul sin and commit a trespass against the Lord, and lie unto his neighbor in that which was delivered him to keep, or in fellowship, or in a thing taken away by violence, or hath deceived his neighbor.
So this is in Exodus 22, I believe. I'm not sure if we read these laws or not. But like this is how you would, if you did that, committed that sin, this is how you would atone for it. See? So you got the laws, then you got them breaking them, and then you got them making an atonement for it. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Or have found that which was lost, and lieth concerning it, and sweareth falsely. And any of all these that a man doeth, sinning therein. Then it shall be, because he hath sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violently away.
So he has to restore what he took. Go ahead.
Or the thing which he hath deceitfully gotten, or that which was delivered him to keep, or the lost thing which he found.
So even see, it said the lost thing which he found, but he lied about it.
Or all that about which he hath sworn falsely, he shall even restore it in the principal, and shall add the fifth part more thereto, and give it unto him to whom it appertaineth, in the day of his trespass offering.
Go ahead, verse 6.
And he shall bring his trespass offering unto the Lord, a ram without blemish out of the flock, with thy estimation for a trespass offering unto the priest.
So see that? So he would have to make restitution. He would have to give the animal back or equal, and then add to that. And then he'd have to make a sacrifice. But now we have Christ. We don't have to do that. Hold on. You can drop that. Let's go to Galatians chapter 2 and verse 4. This should help y'all understand what's going on in the New Testament. So you have the scribes, the Pharisees, and the priests. They don't they get everything that they get through tithes and offerings and sacrifices. That you know what I mean? They were eating that, they were getting those things. Now you have Paul, Peter, and the rest of the disciples and apostles. They're teaching our people that Christ came, you no longer have to sacrifice. So read that, Galatians 2 and verse 4.
The book of Galatians, chapter 2 and verse 4. And that because of false brethren unawares brought in, who came in privily to spy out our liberty, which we have in Christ Jesus.
See that? Spying out our liberty. What's the liberty? You ain't got to do them sacrifices.
Right.
So they trying to get you to come back to keeping sacrifices. Finish that.
That they might bring us into bondage.
What do they mean by bringing us back into bondage?
Damn.
Animal sacrifices. Now back to Leviticus.
That's crazy because it was all for showcasing. Just something to do in front of the people to shine.
They were, when we did Passover class, I showed that Pilate understood that they had him put to death because of envy. They didn't want to lose everything.
Right.
Just like you have your pastors of the day. So let's go a little Leviticus 5 and 1 real quick. It's got some give me one. Just give me verse 1.
The book
We're
of
not getting into the sacrifices and all that stuff in here. But just that.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 5 and verse 1. And if a soul sin and hear the voice of swearing, and is a witness, whether he hath seen or known of it, if he do not utter it, then he shall bear his iniquity.
So in other words, if you see something, somebody does something wicked, and you see it, then you're supposed to tell. All that, you know how society is, no snitching and all that kind of stuff. The Lord is saying you better, or you're going to be a partaker in that sin. Right. You don't want that.
Right.
Now, let's go. See, all these are a bunch of offerings. Let's go. Once again, this is not preempted. I just wanted to go over some laws. It's important. The laws, statutes, and commandments are important. It's very important. We went into captivity for breaking these. I have to show that. Now, let's go. Oh, here's a good one, y'all. Here's a good one. Go to chapter 10. Start at verse 8.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 10 and verse 8. And the Lord spake unto Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine, nor strong drink, nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation,
right,
lest ye die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations.
So you need to be sober whenever you're doing the work of the Lord. Sober. The Lord is saying, lest ye die. Now, chapter 11 and verse 1.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Why didn't he say that's all in the world? Oh, never mind. Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
Right, so he's giving you an outline, but then he goes into detail. We're not going to go through all of them, though. But keep going. No, jump down to 5. Give me 5, 6, and 7.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and verse 5. And the coney because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
Right here is unclean unto you. Go ahead.
And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
Go ahead.
Verse 7, and the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you.
He is. So these are all unclean. We're not supposed to eat these. You know, my folks is from Farmville, Virginia, from the country, and they would go hunting rabbits, the hare. I remember being a kid, and my dad had went hunting, and he had a rabbit in the freezer. I never did eat any of it though. But this, once again, when you learn these things, abstain from it. What you did in the past, leave it in the past. Repent from that stuff and move forward. Verse 9.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and verse 9. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat.
Read verse 2 again.
The
So
book,
it's talking about in the water right now, but read verse 2 again.
the book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth.
These are the beasts that you shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Now go back to go to 10.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and verse 10. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
Mm-hmm.
They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination.
Right, now jump down. Look at these birds. Where you at?
Just finished 11, going to 12.
Give me go to 13.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and verse 13. And these are they which ye shall have in abomination among the fowls.
Among the birds, go ahead.
They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle, and the ostrich,
Mm-hmm.
and the osprey,
Come on.
and the vulture,
Mm-hmm.
and the kite after his kind.
Right, go ahead.
Every raven after his kind.
Go ahead.
And the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant,
Mm-hmm.
and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gear eagle.
Right, but people be eating ducks. What are they?
What's that?
The ones be holding up traffic all the time.
Geese.
Yeah, man, they must know the commandments, man. They be walking around like ain't nobody gonna mess with us.
Yeah.
They be walking across the street and traffic stop.
I mean,
like, you know you can't eat me.
taking their time, too.
People eat ducks, but people don't eat them.
I know, right? It's weird. I think it's a Chinese thing. Or just a Moab thing.
Peking duck.
What the duck?
Yeah, the duck.
Man, he eat anything.
Oh, yeah, they will eat anything.
Moab eats anything.
Eating spiders, dipping them in sauce.
Turtles and stuff.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Verse 19. And the stork, the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat.
We did think COVID came from that at one point.
Right.
But those Chinese markets, man, they got all that stuff over there.
Verse 20. All fowls that
Man, all
creep.
all year round, they run around with masks over that piece.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway, go ahead.
All fowls that creep, going upon all four, shall be an abomination unto you. Yet these may ye eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. Even these of them you may eat. The locust after his kind,
John.
and the bald locust after his kind,
And John the Baptist, man. Go ahead.
and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind.
Now, for time's sake, let's jump to verse 44. Leviticus 11 and 44. We're just touching on, these basic commandments on how we're supposed to walk in our daily life. Go ahead.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and verse 44. For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy.
Mm-hmm.
For I am holy. Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Right. Neither shall ye defile yourselves. By eating these things, you're defiling yourself. Go ahead.
For I am the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy.
Go ahead.
This is the law of the beasts, and of the fowl, and of every living creature that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth.
Right. I want to say something, but I'm not. Now, go to 12 and 2. We're just going to read 3 verses in here in 12.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 12, and verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived seed.
If a woman have conceived seed, meaning she's gotten pregnant by a man. Now, if it was possible to get pregnant without the seed of a man, I'm sure there would be a law in here on which she would have to do afterwards. But there isn't one. Go ahead.
And born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation, for her infirmity shall she be unclean.
Right, so she shall be unclean during this time. Now, verse 3.
And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised.
Shall be circumcised. So a male child in that 7th day, he shall be circumcised. Luke chapter 2. Man, I got so many precepts in here. I can't even tell what verse is what. Verse 22.
The book of Luke, chapter 2, and verse 22. And when the days of her purification, according to the law of Moses,
According to the law we just read. Go ahead.
were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord.
Right. On that 8th day to be circumcised. Back to Leviticus 12. Now give me verse 8. It's funny how, because people will say, well, nobody tells you have to keep those commandments in the New Testament. What you think they doing? It's only been written like 1,600 years before then and told to them 1,000 times, keep the commandments, keep the commandments, keep the commandments. And then they've gone in and out of captivity for not keeping the commandments. Verse 8.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 12, and verse 8. And if she be not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons, the one for the burnt offering and the other for a sin offering.
Mm-hmm.
And the priest shall make an atonement for her, and she shall be clean.
Right. So now you have Christ. You don't have to do that. You don't have to bring an animal. You have Christ. All right, let's go. Let's see, where should we go? Here's one. Oh, no. We ain't going to touch these right now. That's a whole nother topic. Leviticus 13 and 14 about the leper. We're just going to leave that alone for now. Let's go to 15. Definitely. Start at verse 1.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 15, and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel.
Damn. Again? Speak unto the children of Israel again?
Yep.
Yet again? I thought he gave the law to everybody.
No. See what it is. This is the Old Testament, so he's only dealing with Israel right here.
Right.
It changes when we get to the New Testament.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. See, they grafted in
We
now,
can be
bro.
grafted in. We can be adopted in. You can spiritually become.
Go ahead.
Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when any man hath a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue, he is unclean.
Right. So if you have an issue of a running out of your flesh, it's really only two places. Well, through your mouth, your nose, and your other. Those are only three. Well, no, four.
Anywhere you can exit. Exit.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue, whether his flesh run with his issue, or his flesh be stopped from his issue.
Right. So you can have like a sinus infection and be stopped up. Or you could have like the flu or COVID or something and be stopped up. You still have an issue. You're unclean. Go ahead.
It is his uncleanness.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 4. Every bed whereon he lieth that hath the issue is unclean,
Mm-hmm.
and everything whereon he sitteth shall be unclean.
Right. Go ahead.
And whosoever toucheth his bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening.
So you don't need to go on the website of the Center for Disease Control to have them tell you the same thing. The Lord loved us and gave us these laws to elevate us above everybody else. So here you are, 3,000 years later, and they figuring this stuff out. The Lord loved us and gave this understanding to us. And what do? We reject it. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And he that sitteth on anything whereon he sat, that have the issue, shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even.
Go ahead.
Verse 7. And he that toucheth the flesh of him that hath the issue shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even.
See, so this way you keep it from spreading. Go ahead. Verse 8.
Verse 8. And if he that hath the issue spit upon him that is clean,
See, spit upon him. Sneeze, that too. Sneeze or spit. Go ahead.
then he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And what saddle soever he rideth upon that have the issue shall be unclean.
Go ahead.
Verse 10. And whosoever toucheth anything that was under him shall be unclean until the even. And he that beareth any of those things shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even.
So y'all get the point. You get the point. Jump down to 13.
Verse 13. And when he that hath
Oh,
an
no.
issue-
Give me 12 too.
Okay.
So this is something you drink out of or eat out of.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 15 and verse 12. And the vessel of the earth that he toucheth, which hath the issue, shall be broken,
damn.
and every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water.
Right. So if you make something out of clay, you make something out of mud, and he drink out of it, you break it.
Yeah, vessel of the earth.
Yeah. But something else, you wash it. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And when he that hath an issue is cleansed of his issue, then he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleansing, and wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in running water, and shall be clean.
Right. So after that time period, he shall be clean. Now you think back to COVID. Oh, you need to take, what was they saying? At first it was like 2 weeks or something.
14 days.
Yeah, 14 days.
They only give you a week now. At my job, they give you a week. That's all you got.
Yeah, but see how the Lord does. Anyway. Oh, let's go to 16. Oh no. 15. Go to 15.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 15, and verse 15. And the priest shall offer them, the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord for his issue.
Yeah, see how sacrificing is tied to everything. Go ahead. No, yeah, 16.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 15 and verse 16. And if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water, and be unclean until the even. And every garment and every skin whereon is the seed of copulation shall be washed with water, and be unclean until the even.
Go ahead.
Verse 18. The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water, and be unclean until the even.
And be unclean until the even. They both. So if he lay with her and give seed of copulation, they both wash. Verse 19.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 15 and verse 19. And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the even.
Right. So, you have people that will try, they'll think that, okay, I'm unclean, my wife is unclean, but why is it telling you about how long you should be unclean? So, like, if your wife is unclean and you touch your wife, right? What's wrong with that?
If my wife and I just touch her,
Yeah, she unclean, you touch your wife, or, let's say you lay with her and she starts her period when you lay with her. But you'll both be unclean. But what's behind that? Why is the Lord showing you when you're unclean? Jump to verse 31.
the book of
Because
Leviticus.
people be concerned about this right now, today.
Yeah. The book of Leviticus, chapter 15 and verse 31. Thus shall ye separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness when they defile my tabernacle that is among them.
Right. So in the wilderness, you couldn't go to the tabernacle unclean. And then after, when the temple was built, you could not go to the temple unclean. That does not apply today. There is no temple. Yeah, the temple is us. Now, keep going.
Verse
32 and
32.
33.
This is the law of him that hath an issue, and of him whose seed goeth from him, and is defiled therewith. Verse 33. And of her that is sick of her flowers,
Mm-hmm.
and of him that hath an issue, of the man, and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her that is unclean.
Right, that is unclean. Just real quick. So this next chapter, Leviticus 16, is going into the scapegoat, which the scapegoat is Christ. Should we go into that or not? How are we looking on time?
Hour 15.
Just real quick, because again, we're going to prove Christ gave his life for Israel. Christ is the scapegoat. So give me, start at verse 7. Leviticus 16 and verse 7.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 16 and verse 7. And he shall take the 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle.
Now think about this now. Who was it in the time of Christ?
The 2 goats?
Yeah.
At the time of Christ, the 2 goats. I want to say what the 2 that was up on the
No, not them.
Not them?
It was another dude.
I know it ain't the you talking about. I know it ain't. Barabbas.
Yes. Yes. Barabbas. Let me find it real quick. Yep. Matthew 27 and start at verse 24. Showing y'all, man, like it's crazy for you not to believe that the laws, because if the laws leading us to Christ, how is it leading us to Christ? How?
To 27.
Yeah, chapter 27 and start at verse 24.
The book of Matthew, chapter 27 and verse 24. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a tumult was made, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it.
Right, go ahead.
Then answered all the people and said, his blood be on us
Damn.
and on our children.
Damn. In other words, they put their hand on Christ's head and was responsible for putting him to death.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Then released he Barabbas unto them. And when he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified.
See that? Christ was the scapegoat and the wicked one was allowed to be free. Back to Leviticus.
It's
Leviticus
crazy
16.
that we do that today. Our people be wicked as hell, and they always talking about some free so-and-so, free so-and-so.
Right.
Wearing the
Get
t-shirts.
him off.
Yeah. That man was wicked as hell. That's how he ended up in jail.
So one lot for the Lord and the other lot for the scapegoat. Verse 9.
Leviticus.
Yeah, Leviticus 16 and 9.
Our people, boy, we wicked as hell. The book of Leviticus, chapter 16 and verse 9. And Aaron shall bring the goat upon which the Lord's lot fell, and offer him for a sin offering.
Right. Offer him for a sin offering. Christ. Go ahead.
But the goat on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord, to make an atonement with him, and to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness.
So who was the scapegoat? So on that Passover, which it had to be done on Passover, it was Barabbas that was released. But Christ gave his life for all Israel, and
Right.
Israel was released into the wilderness. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And Aaron shall bring the bullock of the sin offering which is for himself, and shall make an atonement for himself, and for his house, and shall kill the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself.
Now jump down to 15. Let's make
Verse
this quick.
15. Then shall he kill the goat of the sin offering,
Mhm.
that is for the people, and bring his blood within the veil, and do with that blood as he did with the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it upon the mercy seat, and before the mercy seat.
Mhm.
And he shall make an atonement for the holy place, because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions in all their sins.
Oh, go ahead.
And so shall he do for the tabernacle of the congregation that remaineth among them in the midst of their uncleanness.
Right, come on.
Verse 17. And there shall be no man in the tabernacle of the congregation when he goeth in to make an atonement in the holy place, until he come out and have made an atonement for himself
Self
and for his household and for all the congregation of Israel. Verse 18. And he shall go out unto the altar that is before the Lord, and make an atonement for it, and shall take of the blood of the bullock and of the blood of the goat, and put it upon the horns of the altar round about. And he shall sprinkle of the blood upon it with his finger 7 times, and cleanse it, and hallow it from the uncleanness of the children of Israel.
Well, it keeps saying the children of Israel. It ain't saying that you sacrificing this goat for a sin offering for all the people on the planet. It keep telling you for the sins of the children of Israel. Go ahead.
Verse 20. And when he hath made an end of reconciling the holy place, and the tabernacle of the congregation, and the altar, he shall bring the live goat. And Aaron shall lay both his hands upon the head of the live goat, and confess over him all the iniquities of the children of Israel, and all their transgressions, in all their sins, putting them upon the head of the goat, and shall send him away by the hand of a fit man into the wilderness.
Yeah, that fit man was Esau. The Edomites in 70 AD, the Romans came and destroyed Jerusalem, and we got sent into the wilderness. Verse 22.
Verse 22. And the goat shall bear upon him all their iniquities unto a land not inhabited, and he shall let go the goat in the wilderness.
Right. So you can drop that. Now, let's go to 18.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 16. I'm sorry.
18 and 2.
Okay. The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do.
Right, go ahead.
And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances.
Now, I just get the feeling that we're going to be told this again.
Right.
Go ahead. This is see this verse 5. This is something that Paul be saying too several times in the New Testament. Verse 5.
Verse 5. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord.
Right. Hold on. Should we? Hold on. Let me run to Galatians 3 real quick. Galatians 3. Give me Galatians 3 and 12, just real quick. See, Paul does a lot of paraphrasing. Because if you're of the children of Israel, you should understand what he's talking about.
Said 3 and 12.
Yeah.
The book of Galatians, chapter 3 and verse 12. And the law is not of faith, but the man that doeth them shall live in them. Curtis?
Man, Curtis don't know no better, man. That man won't listen. Read verse 5 again. Leviticus 18 and 5.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 5. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord.
Now keep going.
Verse 6. None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness.
Right.
I am the Lord. Just like old boy did his dad, Noah.
Oh.
He uncovered him.
Yeah, that's deeper though.
Yeah. Verse 7. The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shall thou not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness.
So look, it goes on to the nakedness of thy father's wife, the nakedness of thy sister. So, in other words, you're not supposed to uncover the nakedness of anybody but your wife or your husband. That's it. You're not supposed to uncover the nakedness of anybody but them. Now, you're gonna have seed, little boys, little girls. That's different.
Right.
You know, that's different. Give me verse 19. Because you have a situation like we said earlier. You could be laying with your wife and she come on her flower. That's not intentional. That's going to happen, right? Verse 19.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 19. Also thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness.
So this situation, you know she's unclean. She's been put away for her uncleanness so that you don't lay with her. But you do have instances which I don't remember where it's at right now, but when it happens, you shall bathe and be unclean until the evening. That's not intentional. This right here is intentional. All of this uncovering right here is fornication. You're uncovering somebody you ain't got no business uncovering. That's fornication. Now give me verse 22.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 22. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination.
It is an abomination. Ain't no excuse. I don't care what they say nowadays.
Right.
How they change the Bibles with the damn Pope. Who gives a damn what the Pope say?
Call the crap the new normal.
The Lord says it is an abomination.
Which means the Lord hates it.
Right. Go ahead.
Verse 23. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith.
Right. No man is supposed to go lie with a beast. You know how they be talking about, what is it mountain people used to do? Talking about counting sheep.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say what they said about it.
Man, we got a guy at my job, grew up on a farm talking the same crap. If you get that where you get horny, you get old enough, and there's nothing else out there. What? Be better.
He Esau?
No.
One of us?
Man.
Oh my goodness, boy. We need these commandments, man.
Right.
Go ahead.
That's why the Lord, we made them for us.
Yeah, he knew we was going to do it.
Right.
But following the nations. Because, see, remember, when you read the beginning of 18, you don't do what the nations did. They were doing all of this.
Right. The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 23. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion.
It is confusion. Now, you can go on Google and pull this stuff up, and you'll see a certain type of woman being with animals. I don't recommend it, though. It's traumatizing. But they do it. Damn. What was this they were saying? Oh, yeah, you don't get pregnant. You can't get pregnant.
That's
Trifling, man. Trifling. Go ahead. 24.
verse 24. Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things.
Right. We not supposed to do any of these things. Go ahead.
For in all these the nations are defiled.
So the nations have done all these things. All these things. Oh, go ahead.
Which I cast out before you.
Verse 26.
Verse 26, ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you.
Nobody on our land or amongst us. They can't do these things. Go ahead.
Verse 27, for all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled.
So this was happening in ancient Egypt. Right. But we got our brothers that want to claim ancient Egypt. Even their gods was doing this stuff.
Right.
Homosexuality, bestiality, all that stuff, man. And you want to claim, man, where is that in the laws of Ma'at? Go ahead, bro.
Verse 29, for whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them shall be cut off from among their people.
See that? Whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the soul that commits them, shall be cut off from among their people. Let's hit this precept real quick. Give me Isaiah 56. So, you know, our buddies in Christianity like to run to this chapter, and they think that this is talking about anyone. Give me verse 3.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 56, and verse 3. Neither let the son of the stranger that have joined himself to the Lord.
So can someone of another nation join himself to the Lord?
No.
No. Go ahead.
Speak, saying, the Lord hath utterly separated me from his people.
See, when did he remove the other nations from his people? This is talking about our people that have committed abominations, and the Lord done had them carried away. But now they trying to return and join themselves back. And they're saying, the Lord speaks, saying, the Lord have utterly separated me from his people. Oh yeah, these commandments, man, the basis of everything is in our commandments. And our people hate reading them. Go ahead, finish that verse.
Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree.
Keep going. Verse 4.
For thus saith the Lord unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths, and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant.
Deuteronomy 23. Why is he mentioning eunuchs? Verse 1.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23 and verse 1. He that is wounded in the stones, or hath his privy member cut off,
that's a eunuch,
shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord.
See that? He can't enter into the congregation of the Lord. So he's saying, the Lord is saying he can return
Right.
and keep the Sabbath. Daniel was one. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were underneath the prince of the eunuchs. So what were they? Back to Leviticus. Give me verse 30. That'll be that for that. And then we're gonna hit 19. Yeah, we're gonna hit Psalm in 19.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 30. Therefore shall ye keep mine ordinance, that ye commit not any one of these abominable customs, which were committed before you, and that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am the Lord your God.
Right, so you know what? Like we read 22, thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind.
Mm-hmm.
Then neither shall you lie with a beast, neither shall any woman lie down with a beast. If you did these things, what could you sacrifice to make an atonement?
Nothing.
Your head
Not a
with
damn
some
thing.
stones. That was it. There was no way to atone for that. There was no forgiveness.
How you gonna sacrifice the beast you just laid with?
Oh no, the beast has to be put to death too.
Right.
Shoot. Now, 19 and verse 2.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 2. Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy.
You should be holy because he is holy. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Ye shall fear every man his mother and his father,
Respect your mother and father. Go ahead.
and keep my Sabbaths.
And keep my Sabbaths.
Man.
Not the day that you choose. Go ahead.
I am the Lord your God.
Go ahead, verse 4.
Oh, I
Yeah, he
love when
keeps saying,
that.
I am the Lord, your
Lord
God.
I love it.
Your God. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Lord your God. And if ye offer a sacrifice of peace offering,
Let's skip that one. Jump to 9.
the book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 9. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of thy field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest.
Right. So when you planted whatever it is you planted, you're supposed to leave some of that.
Right.
Don't take all of it. Watch what.
Man, the beauty.
But look. No, you underneath bondage. You making Christ of no use by keeping the law. Read next verse, man. That is the dumbest thinking. It's just the dumbest thinking ever. God's law is righteous, man. It's righteous. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am the Lord your God.
Right. So let's say we're going to Jerusalem to keep a feast.
Right.
And on our journey, we're hungry. We come upon our brother's land, and he's got rows. The Lord said, leave them. Don't glean them. So when your brothers and sisters going by, they got something to eat. That ain't righteous. That's bondage. That's putting you into bondage.
That
Free food.
it make you right. That's loving. That's showing love for your
That
brother
is,
right there.
yes, that's love. The Lord thought of all of these things and gave them to us. But wicked people want to tell you, oh, the law is bondage. I guarantee you they haven't read it.
Now, what if that when Christ and them picked
The corn,
Yeah.
oh, we know where that came from.
Right.
This. It
right,
comes from this.
Exactly. They were hungry. Man, That was tight, bro.
They didn't take a, because the law said you can't take a sickle to it.
Right. They picked it with their own hand.
Right. They said they plucked it. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another.
Go ahead.
And ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of the Lord thy God.
Come on with it.
I am the Lord.
Come on.
Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning.
Now, somebody will say, oh, the law is bondage. We don't have to keep the law. I'm free from the law because of Christ. But if you work and you don't get paid, what they going to do? They're going to start... They're going to start calling bloody murder. But it's a commandment from God for if you hire somebody to do some work, you're supposed to pay them every day.
Yep.
But no, they don't want to hear that. See, you're trying to bring us back to bondage. And they always take a shot at us and be like, who's doing your sacrifices? Who said anything about doing sacrifices? When did we ever tell anybody, brother, you need to make sacrifices? We tell our people, stop sinning. Read on, bro.
Verse 14. Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shalt fear thy God. I am the Lord.
What's wrong with that right there? Don't put a stumbling block in front of the blind. Don't cuss out, you know what I'm saying, somebody that's deaf. What's wrong? What's wrong with that? How is this stuff bondage?
Right.
It's righteous. Come on.
Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment.
Now pay attention to this because people go to Acts chapter 10. Matter of fact, let's go there first. Let's go to Acts chapter 10 and verse 34. Got to be the worst. No, well, Christianity is really, really bad, and Judaism is just as dumb.
Yeah, they got the Talmud.
Yeah, Acts 10 and 34.
The book of Acts, chapter 10 and verse 34. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth I perceive that God is no respecter of persons.
See that? God is no respecter of persons, brother. Read on.
But in every nation, he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him.
So what is righteousness? It's keeping these laws that we talking about.
Right.
The ones that everybody hates that was only given to Israel. How many times did we read, speak unto the children of Israel? Speak unto the children of Israel. I am the Lord, your God.
Yep.
How many times?
It's going to say again right here in 36.
Go ahead.
The word which God sent unto the children of Israel, preaching peace by Jesus Christ. He is Lord of all.
Now, what does it mean, no respecter of persons? Give me 1 Peter 1 and 17. We're going to hit 2 New Testament joints real quick. They always say, God is not a respecter of persons, brother. What does that mean? Well, that means he'll accept anybody. No, that's not what that's talking about. Yeah, 1 Peter 1 and 17.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 1 and verse 17. And if ye be called on the Father, who, without respect of persons, judgeth according to every man's work.
It's about judgment. It's not about accepting somebody. The Lord is going to righteously judge you according to your works. Colossians 3 and 25. pulled this the other day. It was funny.
The book of Colossians, chapter 3 and verse 25. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done.
See? He that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong that he has done. Go ahead.
And there is no respect of persons.
Right, so no matter who you are, no matter how ranked or how high you think you are, or how low, everybody gets the same judgment, man. You're going to be judged according to your deeds.
Right.
Now back to Leviticus 19 and 15.
You know how they say actions speak louder. How the hell people think you just gonna walk your walk your behind right into heaven?
Right. No works. Oh,
No works.
Christ, I'm righteous through Christ.
You ain't proved nothing.
I'm righteous through Christ. But Christ said, your righteousness, your righteousness
Right.
must exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees. They were hypocrites, but they did keep laws. They was at the synagogue. They was at the feasts.
Right.
They was teaching laws.
Right.
If you ain't doing that, you ain't doing none of that, how you think you're going to make the kingdom? And Christ said your righteousness must exceed theirs.
That's why it's Israel. Even Israel gonna scarcely make it.
Right.
Skin of your teeth type deal right thing. Right there. Good God.
But no, you think I'm covered by the blood.
Oh, you just gonna
That's why Christ said, I'm going to say, I never knew you, you workers of iniquity, workers of sin.
I'm just gonna dance right up on. Like the Soul Train line. You going into heaven. No.
Leviticus 19:15.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 15. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty.
Right.
But in righteousness
Righteousness.
shalt thou judge thy neighbor.
See? But they say that we take stuff out of context. Keep going, man. Verse 16.
Verse 16. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer
Stop gossiping. Go ahead.
among thy people. Neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord.
Right. So don't be testifying and lying against your brother or sister. Here comes some important ones. Go ahead.
Verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people.
So that right there is telling you who your neighbor is. The children of your people.
Right.
It's not the Asian guy that lives next door. You know what
Just
I mean?
right. Because he's your neighbor.
Yeah,
Next door.
it's not the African that lives on the other side of you.
No.
Go ahead.
But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Apply the commandments to your neighbor as you want them applied unto yourself. Give me verse 19, then we're going to jump.
I am the Lord. Verse 19. Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind.
Right. You can't have an ox and a mule pulling a cart together. You know, it's not going to work. Just like we can't walk with the other nations, it's not going to work. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed.
Right. So you can't put different in your field. You need to have one thing. Then in your other field, you have one thing. You don't mingle them together. And this is twofold because you don't mingle your seed with the other nations either.
Right.
Like I say in Ecclesiasticus, when you find a fruitful field, sow it with your own seed. Talking about your woman. Right. Go ahead.
Neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee.
You can't mix linen and woolen together. Now, give me verse 26.
The book of Leviticus.
We ain't gonna be much longer, y'all. Watch this. We're gonna jump to the New Testament too. Watch this.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 26. Ye shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall ye use enchantment, nor observe time.
So ye shall not eat anything with blood. Watch this. Acts chapter 15 and verse 20. Yeah, give me 19 and 20.
Acts 15, verse 20, 19 and 20. The book of Acts, chapter 15 and verse 19.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore, my sentence is that we trouble not them, which from among the Gentiles are turned to God.
So this is talking about you have like the northern kingdom being called Gentiles. The Lord is saying, they're saying when they return, they decide their return, only give them these certain amount of things while they learn the commandments. Not, it ain't talking about the other nations. They don't have no part of this. We trouble not them which from among the Gentiles are turned to God. Go ahead.
Verse 20. But that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols.
We read that where? In Leviticus and in Exodus. Go ahead.
And from fornication.
We just read chapter 18, all those many different forms of fornication. Go ahead.
And from things strangled.
And right. So things strangled is things that animals have eaten, torn with beasts. They strangle it. That's how they kill it. Go ahead.
And from blood.
And from blood. We just read that in Leviticus 19. You should not eat anything with blood. But read verse 21 for him.
Verse 21. For Moses of old time hath in every city them that preach him, being read in the synagogues every Sabbath day.
So no matter where you at, our people are scattered, and they have synagogues. And every Sabbath day, they read the law. So give them these 4 things to start with, and then when they go to the synagogues on the Sabbath day, they will learn the rest of the commandments. Watch this. Jump back to chapter 13 and give me verse 14 and 15. This is what they mean.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 13 and verse 13.
14.
Verse 14. But when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch in Pisidia, or Pisidia, and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day.
They went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, like it said, every Sabbath day, right? Go ahead.
And sat down.
Go ahead.
And after the reading of the law and of the prophets, the rulers of the synagogue sent unto them, saying, Ye men and brethren, if ye have any word of exhortation for the people, say on.
Right. So this is what happens in the synagogue on the Sabbath day. They read the law and the prophets. Now back to Leviticus 19. 27.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 19, and verse 27. You shall not round the corners of your heads.
Right. Don't cut your the side of your beard off. Now, you know what's funny? Because of this law right here, you got the Jewish people with those curly little side locks that come down. You talk about not understanding scriptures. Go ahead.
Neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard.
Right. So, you know, there are ancient artifacts that show us with woolly hair and woolly beards. You don't see no artifacts with side locks. I'm telling you, man. Like you said, at Talmud.
Yeah.
Where they get this stuff from? You have ancient Israelites being carried into different captivities. You have Lachish. When they took Lachish, and they have these reliefs on the wall about the whole thing, how it went down, and how they took us, and they were killing us and taking us captive. And it's people look like us. You don't see crazy. You don't see no yarmulkes. You don't see them dressed in black, and they ain't got no side locks. Go ahead.
Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord.
No tattoos. No tattoos. Go ahead.
I am the Lord. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness.
Come on.
Verse 30. Ye shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord.
So keep my Sabbaths. Sabbaths, that's feast days. Go ahead.
Verse 31. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt not rise up before the hoary head and honor.
Thou shalt. Thou shalt. So somebody, old wise man, you're supposed to rise up before him. Go ahead.
Thou shalt rise up before the hoary head and honor the face of the old man and fear thy God. I am the Lord.
Right.
And if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God.
So we have laws that's catered to the strangers that come among us. So you're supposed to apply the commandments to them. You're not supposed to treat them any type of way like they have done to us. So what does this cause? This causes peace to be in our land. You're not vexing them. Now you punish them when they break commandments, and it calls for you to punish them. But you don't go around and vex them. You look around the earth today, and you got people protesting. Why? Because they're being vexed by the powers that be all over the place. When you walking in God's commandments, it causes peace. Peace. He's the God of peace. Come on. Verse 35.
Verse 35. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment.
See? No respect of persons. It's saying it again. Go ahead.
In meat yard, in weight, or in measure. Just balances, just weights, or just ephah, and a just hin shall ye have. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt.
So you supposed, even in your business and everything, you're supposed to do righteously.
Right.
Don't cheat people. Now, we're almost done. Now, I had made this statement. So let's back it up real quick. Damn. No, we read that last class in Exodus. Go, give me chapter 20 and verse 13. We're almost done, y'all.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 13. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
So their blood had to be spilled. You think it's going to be homosexuality in the kingdom? You think because Christ came and gave his blood that they're going to be doing whatever they want in the kingdom? No. People keep saying, we're in the new covenant. No, we're not. We're under grace right now.
Right.
Once we're bonded into that new covenant, you do some abomination, what you think going to happen? The Lord said, bring them before me and slay them.
All grace is the time and chance to get yourself together before
Yes.
the Lord, before the day of the Lord. That's it. That's what that grace period is for. Or before you kick the bucket and go meet your maker.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself together and repent. Stop playing games.
Give me verse. Give me verse 15.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 15.
Because I said this earlier. Go ahead.
And if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and ye shall slay the beast.
See, you should slay the. Both of them gotta die, and these are judgments. People say, "Oh, see, when people will say, when you tell them they're in the midst of sin, they'll say, "Oh, you judging me?" No, we're not.
Yeah.
No, we're not. We're trying to correct you, so you don't get these punishments. Go ahead.
The book of Leviticus.
Because even though we under grace, your grace will run out when you know and you continue on in it. Your grace will run out. Yeah. 16.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 16. And if a woman approach unto a beast and lie down thereto, thou shalt kill the woman and the beast.
Mm-hmm.
They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
See? Her and the beast, him and the beast. They had a movie, what was it? Beauty and the Beast. Man, get out of here.
Right.
Verse 18.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 18. And if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness, he hath discovered her fountain, and she hath uncovered the fountain of her blood.
Right, so this is the judgment for laying with her when she's
Unclean.
yeah, and you did it on purpose.
Right.
Go ahead.
And both of them shall be cut off from among their people.
See, cut off from among the people.
Yeah, ain't no none of them little sayings that used to go with it. If I can walk through mud, I can. Yeah, no, cut that out.
You remember TLC?
You being nasty. What was that?
TLC,
What was that?
the red light special.
Oh man. Right. Cut it out.
Verse 24. We almost done, y'all.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 24. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey.
Mm-hmm.
I am the Lord your God,
Again, I am the Lord your God. Go ahead.
which have separated you from other people.
No, he didn't separate us. We can walk hand in hand with the other people.
We are the human race, man.
There's only one race.
Right.
Which have separated you from other people.
Right.
Verse 25.
Verse 25, ye shall therefore put difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowls and clean.
Now, remember last week, the brother, he had the question about Acts 10, and it was talking about all those creeping things and stuff.
Right.
This is another similar to right here. He said he separated us from other people. Now he talking about clean and unclean beasts again.
Right.
Why right here? Go ahead.
And ye shall not make your souls abominable by beast, or by fowl, or by any manner of living thing that creepeth on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean.
Unclean. Go ahead.
And ye shall be holy unto me.
Ye shall be holy unto me. The children of Israel, ye shall be holy unto me. Come on.
For I, the Lord, am holy,
He's holy.
and have severed you from other people, that you should be mine.
Right. Severed you from other people that you should be mine. Not that everybody shall walk hand in hand.
It's impossible.
Right.
But if you do want to kick it with them that bad, you can meet their fate also.
Though hand go in hand. The wicked shall not go unpunished.
Right.
So oh man, that's 2 hours right there. So hopefully y'all learned something, especially the first part, distinguishing between these commandments that we're supposed to walk in, those laws, and how they're different from the laws of atonement. And Paul is an expert at this, and he's just saying the law, the law, the law. You have to distinguish what he's talking about. Those carnal laws is animal sacrifice. Nothing is carnal about loving your neighbor as you love yourself, honoring your mother and your father, reverencing the Lord and keeping his feast days like he told you to do. That's not carnal. Being disobedient, that's carnal as hell.
Right.
And it'll get you punished.
And that's not religion either. Nothing is religious about that. People kill me with that. No, it's a religious book. What?
They don't understand. That's why I say all the time, even if you don't go to church, if you're in America, if you're in any of these nations that's run by Esau, and these nations claim Christianity, whether you go to church or not, you're in the doctrine of Christianity.
Yep.
Let's all be equal, except the white man is on top beating the hell out you.
Mm-hmm.
And you too blind to see it. Let's you know what? Let's close out with what we opened up with. All three verses. Malachi 3, I forget what verses it was. It's perfect though.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping these commandments. This is how you can ascertain who is being righteous and who isn't. Who is serving the Lord and who isn't. Yeah, 16.
The book of the book of Malachi, chapter 3 and verse 16. Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord, and that thought upon his name.
You know what else to show
That's
you?
tight, bro.
Yeah, it is. But you know what else to show you? It show you the Lord paying
He
attention.
listening.
Yes.
Right. He listening.
Go
And
ahead.
they shall be mine.
They
saith
shall
the Lord
be.
of hosts.
They shall be mine. I am the Lord your God. Read.
In that day, when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them,
I will spare them. Go ahead.
as a man spareth his own son that serveth him.
Make he's pleasing him. Go ahead.
Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked.
How do you discern between the righteous and the wicked? Him who's keeping the commandments and him who's not.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not.
Last verse, chapter 4 and verse 4.
The book of Malachi, chapter 4 and verse 4. Remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments.
Remember, because the Christians say this is the last book before the New Testament. Remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. That's what we've been reading. The laws, the statutes, and the judgments. Keep going. I lied, y'all. I'm sorry. I repent. I lied. Keep going.
Verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah, the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord.
Right. So he came back in the time of Christ, and he had to come back recently to open our eyes to this. Go ahead.
And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse.
Right. Seek the face of your fathers and seek the face of the Lord our God. I'm Brother Jacob.
And I'm Brother Joab.
With that, y'all, we say shalom.
Happy Sabbath.
Chapter 18 and verse 21. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times.
It ain't nowhere that I can't go. You see me, you see him. I'm like children in the flame though. It's because I follow him though. He the light to my feet, it's like flames what I follow. But let me stop for you heathos. I've been crossed many times, so yes, I know the pain, yo. And forgive is where I ain't go. Told the brother get in line, giving shots like a needle. I've been sinning for real, murder, but I ain't killed for real. Shot for shot to seal the deal. Now I'm here to swallow the pill. Now I'm woozy, don't know how to act. Devilish mind on fully attack. My spirit to flesh had taken it back, and I ain't thinking about bringing it back. Tap, tap, I think I ain't hear it right. The Lord come like a thief at night, but I ain't believe the hype. Yeah, like Saul when I seen the night, but had me feeling like Paul when I found the light. Cap, 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 cap. You say you love your people, but that's cap, cap, cap. You swear you don't be lying, but that's cap, cap, cap. You say you did atonement, but that's cap, cap, cap. I say cap, 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 cap. You say you love your nation, but that's cap, cap, cap. You swear you done with envy, but that's cap, cap, cap. You say you did atonement, but that's cap, cap, cap. I say.
So Peter said, if a brother sin against me, he offends, he does something unlawful. Could have took your money, could have tail barreled again, any of those types. How many times should I forgive? 7 times? Because 7 was a complete number. What did it matter?
Jesus said unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7.